Coins are much more than simple pieces of metal. They are small, powerful objects that tell a nation's story. When you hold an old coin, you are holding a piece of history in your hand. Each coin carries the marks of its time. It shows the art, the technology, and the values of the people who made it. Coins can reveal a country's economic strength. They can also show its political ambitions. Studying a nation's coinage is like reading its diary. It gives us a direct connection to the past, letting us understand the lives of people who lived long ago. They are tiny artifacts that carry huge stories. Korea has a long and rich history. Its coinage is just as fascinating. Korean coins offer a unique window into the peninsula's past. From its earliest days, Korea developed its own distinct culture and systems. This is clearly reflected in its money. The journey of Korean coins, especially silver ones, is a tale of innovation, struggle, and resilience. It shows how Korea interacted with its powerful neighbors, like China. It also shows its determination to forge its own path. For anyone interested in history or coin collecting, the story of Korean coinage is a rewarding one. It is a story that is not as well known in the West, but it is deeply important. Understanding Korean silver coins helps us appreciate the country's complex history. These coins were not just for buying goods. They were symbols of royal authority and national pride. The decision to mint silver coins was often a major political event. It involved debates about the economy, trade, and the power of the government. By looking at these silver pieces, we can trace the rise and fall of dynasties. We can see the impact of wars and invasions. We can also witness the country's slow but steady journey towards modernization. Each coin is a chapter in the grand story of Korea. This essay will take you on a journey through time. We will explore the fascinating history of Korea's silver coins. We will start from the very first attempts to create a silver currency. We will travel through different dynasties and see how the coins changed. We will look at their designs, their sizes, and the silver they were made from. We will also uncover interesting stories and compare them to more familiar coins, like those from the United States. This exploration will make the history of Korean coinage simple and clear. It will show why these small metal discs are such a big part of Korea's heritage and identity. The story of Korean silver coins begins in the Goryeo dynasty. This period lasted from 918 to 1392. Before this time, Korea mostly used barter for trade. People traded goods like grain, cloth, and other useful items. Some Chinese coins were also used, but there was no official Korean currency. The Goryeo court saw the need for a standardized form of money. This would make trade easier and help the government collect taxes more efficiently. The idea was to create a currency that was uniquely Korean. This was a very important step for the young kingdom. The first major attempt to create a national currency happened in the year 996. This was during the reign of King Seongjong. He ordered the minting of Korea's first iron coins, called the Geonwon Jungbo. However, the real innovation came with silver. The government decided to create a high-value coin for large transactions. Silver was the perfect metal. It was rare, valuable, and accepted in trade with other countries, especially China. This led to the creation of the Unveiling, which means silver vase or silver bottle. These were not round coins like we use today. They were uniquely shaped pieces of silver. The Unveiling were shaped like the Korean peninsula itself. They were long and curved, with a wider top and a narrower bottom. They looked a bit like a small vase, which is how they got their name. These were made from almost pure silver. Each one was stamped with official marks by the government to prove its authenticity and value. These marks guaranteed that the piece was of the correct weight and purity. The Unveiling were quite large and heavy. One Unveiling was worth a significant amount of rice or cloth. They were not for everyday shopping. They were used by merchants, aristocrats, and the government for big payments. Making the Unveiling was a careful process. The government controlled the silver mines and the minting operations. The silver was melted down and poured into molds to get the distinctive vase shape. Once cooled, each piece was weighed. Then, officials would stamp it with seals. These seals acted as a guarantee from the king himself. The creation of the Unveiling was a bold move. It established a precedent for a state-controlled, high-value currency in Korea. It showed Goryeo growing sophistication as a kingdom. It was the very first step in Korea's long and fascinating journey with silver money. During the Goryeo dynasty, the Unveiling was the main form of silver currency. Its unique shape made it famous. However, its large size and high value limited its use. The government tried to introduce smaller coins, but the people were slow to adopt them. They preferred to use familiar goods like rice and cloth for daily trade. The Unveiling remained in use for over 300 years. Its design stayed mostly the same. The main changes were in the official stamps. New kings and new government offices would use different seals. These small marks help historians date the pieces today. The Joseon dynasty replaced the Goryeo dynasty in 1392. The new rulers had different ideas about currency. For a long time, they were hesitant to use metal coins. They promoted the use of paper money and cloth as currency. Silver was seen as a valuable commodity to be traded with China, not used as domestic money. For many centuries, the Joseon government did not mint any silver coins. The memory of the Goryeo Unveiling faded. The focus shifted to agriculture and a more closed economy. This policy made the circulation of coins, especially silver ones, very limited for a long time. It was not until the 17th century that the Joseon dynasty seriously considered silver coins again. Increased trade and a changing economy created a need for a more convenient currency. The government began experimenting with new coin types. However, most of these were made of bronze or brass. Silver was still too precious. Small illegal silver pieces were sometimes cut from foreign coins or ingots for trade. But an official Joseon silver coin did not appear until much later. The government struggled to control the flow of silver. Many officials feared that minting silver coins would drain the nation's wealth. The big change finally came in the late 19th century. Faced with growing pressure from foreign powers like Japan, Russia, and the United States, Korea was forced to modernize. The old economic system was no longer enough. In the 1880s, under King Gojong, Korea established its first modern mint. This mint began producing Western-style coins. This was a huge shift. For the first time, Korea produced round, machine-struck silver coins. These coins had modern designs, including the national emblem of a dragon and the denomination. This marked the end of the traditional era and the beginning of modern Korean coinage. While large silver pieces like the Unveiling were used for big transactions, there was also a need for smaller silver money. During the late Goryeo and early Joseon periods, this need was often met in an unofficial way. People would cut up larger silver ingots or even foreign silver coins into small pieces. These were called sae-eun or jeol-eun, which means broken silver or cut silver. These pieces did not have a standard size or shape. Their value was based purely on their weight. A merchant would use a small scale to weigh the silver for every transaction. This was a cumbersome but practical system. These small silver pieces were very important for trade. They allowed for more precise payments than large ingots or barter goods could. Merchants who traded in valuable items like ginseng, silk, or medicinal herbs relied heavily on broken silver. It was especially useful in border towns and port cities where trade with China was active. Chinese merchants were very familiar with using silver by weight, so this system worked well for international commerce. Although the Korean government did not officially produce these pieces, it tolerated their use because they were so essential for the economy. The first official small silver coins appeared late in the Joseon dynasty. As Korea began to modernize in the late 19th century, the government realized that a standardized coinage system was necessary. The old system of cutting silver was inefficient and prone to cheating. In 1882, the government began to mint a series of coins called the Daedong series. This series included 3 silver coins, a 3-jeon, a 2-jeon, and a 1-jeon coin. These were Korea's first attempt at a modern, fractional silver currency. They were small, round coins with clear denominations. However, they were only minted for a very short time and are extremely rare today. The Daedong silver coins were revolutionary for their time in Korea. The won coin was particularly small and delicate. Its design featured a dragon on one side and the value in Chinese characters on the other. Making these small coins required new technology and skills that Korea was just beginning to learn. Unfortunately, political instability and economic problems meant that the project was quickly abandoned. The mint was closed, and the coins never entered wide circulation. Despite their failure as a currency, these small silver coins are a fascinating part of Korean history. They represent a brief, shining moment of ambition and a desire to modernize the nation's money. Comparing Korean silver coins to American silver coins reveals some fascinating differences and similarities. The most obvious difference is their history and shape. America's first silver coins, like the 1794 flowing hair dollar, were created in a young republic. They were round and machine-made from the very beginning, following European traditions. In contrast, Korea's first silver currency, the Unveiling, was created in an ancient kingdom. It had a unique, non-circular shape and was hand-stamped. This really reflects the different paths the two nations took. America was born in the modern age of industry, while Korea's coinage evolved out of centuries-old traditions. The reasons for creating silver coins were also different. In the United States, the Coinage Act of 1792 established the silver dollar as the country's main unit of currency. The goal was to create a stable and unified monetary system for a new nation. It was about building a national economy from scratch. In Korea, the Unveiling was not meant for everyone. It was a high-value currency for the elite and for large-scale state transactions. The Korean government's main concern was controlling a precious resource, not creating a currency for the common person. The idea of a silver dollar for every citizen was an American concept, not a Korean one at that time. There is an interesting connection in the late 19th century. As Korea started to modernize, it looked to the West for models. The new round silver coins minted under King Gojong were very similar in style to Western coins. They were machine-struck and had standardized weights and purities. The 1 silver coin, first minted in 1892, was very close in size and silver content to the US Morgan silver dollar. Both coins contained about 90% silver. This was no accident. Korea wanted its new money to be accepted in international trade. Making a coin similar to the American silver dollar was a way to show that Korea's currency was modern and reliable. This period shows how global trade brought coin designs closer together. An American merchant in Korea in the 1890s would have found the new Korean silver coins familiar. He could easily compare the value of a Korean won to his American silver dollar. This was a huge change from the old days of using broken silver or vase-shaped unbyeong. The story of Korean and American silver coins started on very different paths, but by the end of the 19th century, the forces of globalization brought them to a similar place. Both nations were producing large, impressive silver coins that symbolized national strength and economic ambition on the world stage. The techniques for making silver coins in Korea changed dramatically over the centuries. The earliest silver currency, the Goryeo dynasty, was made using fairly simple methods. It was a form of caste currency. Silversmiths would melt pure silver and pour it into a pre-made mold that gave its characteristic vase-like shape. After the silver cooled and hardened, it was removed from the mold. The most important step came next. A government official would use a hammer and a set of punches, or stamps, to mark the piece. These stamps certified its weight and purity, making it official money. The process was manual and slow. For centuries, this was the standard method. There was no machine striking of coins, as was developing in Europe. During most of the Joseon dynasty, there was no official silver coinage, so these skills were not developed further for a long time. When people used silver, they used the broken silver method. This required no minting technology at all. It just required a good pair of shears and an accurate scale. This practical, low-tech approach dominated Korean commerce for hundreds of years. It shows a preference for value based on weight rather than a government-guaranteed face value, a common practice across much of Asia. The great leap in coin production came in the late 19th century. To modernize the country, King Gojong's government decided to build a Western-style mint. They hired German engineers and imported modern steam-powered coining presses. The first modern mint was established in Seoul in 1886. This was a technological revolution for Korea. For the first time, coins could be mass-produced with perfect uniformity. The new machines would cut blank discs of silver, called planchets, from a sheet of metal. Then, the planchet was placed between two dies, and a powerful press struck it with tons of force, imprinting the design on both sides at once. This new technology completely changed the appearance and quality of Korean silver coins. The designs became much more detailed and complex. The new coins had raised rims to protect the design from wear, and some even had reeded edges, just like American coins. The silver content was also much more precise. The alloy was carefully controlled, typically at 90% silver and 10% copper, to make the coins more durable. This shift from hand stamping to machine striking was more than just a technical change. It was a symbol of Korea's entry into the modern industrial world and its effort to create a currency that could stand alongside those of Western powers. Major historical events, especially wars and invasions, had a huge impact on Korea's silver coinage. During the Goryeo dynasty, the constant threat of invasions from the north, such as by the Khitans and later the Mongols, put great strain on the economy. These wars were incredibly expensive. The government needed to pay soldiers and buy supplies. This often led to a shortage of precious metals like silver. The government would sometimes melt down silver to pay for war expenses. During the Mongol invasions in the 13th century, the production declined sharply as the kingdom struggled for survival. The stability of the currency was directly tied to the stability of the nation. The Joseon dynasty also faced major invasions that shaped its monetary policy. The Japanese invasions of Korea in the late 16th century, known as the Imjin War, devastated the peninsula. The economy was shattered. The government was bankrupt. In the aftermath, there was a desperate need for currency to rebuild the country. However, silver was scarce. Much of it had been looted or used for the war effort. This experience made the Joseon court even more cautious about using silver as money. They feared that minting silver coins would make it easier for invaders to loot the nation's wealth in the future. This fear contributed to the long delay in creating a Joseon silver currency. The push for reform in the late 19th century was also driven by external pressures. After centuries of isolation, Korea was forced to open its ports to Japan and Western powers. These nations brought their own silver coins like the Japanese yen and the Mexican silver dollar, which became widely used in Korean port cities. This loss of monetary control was a threat to Korea's sovereignty. Korean reformers argued that the nation must have its own modern currency to compete. This led to the currency reforms under King Gojong. Creating modern silver coins was not just an economic decision. It was a political statement. It was an attempt to assert Korea's independence. However, this period of reform was also filled with conflict. Japan's influence over Korea was growing stronger. After Japan won the First Sino-Japanese War in 1895, its control over Korean politics and economy tightened. The Korean currency system was reformed several times, with each reform bringing it more in line with the Japanese system. The beautiful Korean-designed silver coins featuring dragons were eventually replaced by coins with a plum blossom crest, which was a symbol of the Korean Empire, but had designs heavily influenced by Japan. Finally, after Japan formally annexed Korea in 1910, the Korean currency was abolished entirely and replaced with the Japanese Korean yen. The journey of Korea's sovereign silver coinage came to a halt a direct victim of war and colonization. The era of Japanese colonial rule, from 1910 to 1945, was a dark period for Korean national identity. This was reflected in the currency. All Korean-designed coins disappeared. The money circulating in Korea was issued by the Japanese-controlled Bank of Chosun. These coins looked very similar to Japanese coins and had no Korean national symbols. No silver coins were issued for circulation during most of this period. Like many countries during the World Wars, precious metals were reserved for the war effort. The money people used was made of bronze, nickel, and aluminum. The dream of a modern, independent Korean silver currency was put on hold. After Korea gained its independence at the end of World War II in 1945, the country was in chaos. The peninsula was soon divided into North and South. The new Republic of Korea, or South Korea, was established in 1948. One of the first tasks of the new government was to create its own currency. The first South Korean coins were issued in 1959. However, the country was very poor after the devastating Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953. Silver was far too expensive to be used for circulating coins. The new coins were made from cheap base metals like brass and copper. The focus was on rebuilding the nation, not on minting precious metal coins. The first silver coins issued by the Republic of Korea were not for spending. They were commemorative coins, also known as non-circulating legal tender. These special coins are created to celebrate important events or honor national heritage. South Korea began issuing commemorative coins in the 1970s. These coins were aimed at collectors both in Korea and around the world. The designs often feature important historical figures, cultural landmarks, native wildlife, or major international events held in Korea, such as the 1988 Seoul Olympics. These silver coins are minted to a very high quality, often with a beautiful proof finish. Today, South Korea has a very active and popular commemorative coin program, run by the Bank of Korea and minted by Comsco, the Korea Minting and Security Printing Corporation. They regularly issue silver coins in various sizes, often made from very pure silver, 99.9%. These coins are the modern successors to the historic silver coins of the past. While you won't find a silver coin in your pocket change in Seoul, you can buy these beautiful silver pieces as a way to own a piece of modern Korean art and history. This continues the long tradition of silver representing value and national pride in Korea, but in a new modern form for a global audience. The journey of Korean silver coins is a powerful reflection of the nation's history. From the uniquely shaped of the Goryeo dynasty to the modern commemorative issues of the Republic of Korea, these coins tell a story of sovereignty, struggle, and artistic expression. They are not just economic tools, they are cultural artifacts. The early Aum, shaped like the peninsula itself, is a beautiful symbol of early Korean identity. It shows a kingdom confident enough to create its own high-value currency, distinct from its powerful neighbor, China. It is a testament to the ingenuity and independence of the Korean people. The long absence of silver coins during the Joseon dynasty is just as telling. It speaks to a period of isolationism and an agrarian-focused economy. The government's caution and fear of losing its precious silver reserves shaped the nation's economic path for centuries. When silver coins finally reappeared in the late 19th century, they were a symbol of a dramatic and turbulent shift. The adoption of Western-style round coins represented a desperate attempt to modernize and maintain independence in the face of overwhelming foreign pressure. The eventual replacement of these coins with Japanese colonial currency marks the tragic loss of that independence. Today, Korean silver coins continue to hold a special place. The modern commemorative coins issued by South Korea are works of art. They celebrate the nation's achievements, its vibrant culture, and its rich history. For collectors, these coins are a tangible link to Korea. An American collector holding a silver coin celebrating the 1988 Seoul Olympics is holding a piece of a pivotal moment in modern Korean history. These coins serve as ambassadors for the country, sharing its stories with the world. They carry on the legacy of silver as a metal of special significance, used to mark events of great national importance. In conclusion, Korean silver coins are unique and valuable for many reasons. They offer a timeline of technological change, from hand-stamped ingots to machine-pressed proofs. They provide a window into the nation's economic and political struggles. Most importantly, they are a testament to the resilience of the Korean spirit. Through invasions, colonization and war, the dream of a sovereign Korean currency was never completely lost. The story of Korea's silver coins is a microcosm of the larger story of Korea itself, a story of a proud and distinct culture that has weathered every storm and continues to shine brightly on